Welcome everybody to Review Please Video Game Edition. Today we're talking about Senua Saga Hellblade II, and I'm your host Jesus, and with me, as always, is the expert of Overwatch, the fighter of democracy, L. L, how's it going? And for those who don't know, democracy, I mean Helldivers, not any other weird political things.
Exactly.
Just to clarify.
That's so funny. No, I'm doing great. Thanks for having me. Of course, another episode here. How are you?
I'm good. It's been a wild day. We had storms this morning, and the power went out. We probably would have recorded this earlier in the day if it hadn't been for that. So, Senua's Saga is developed by Ninja Theory, published by Xbox Game Studios. This is the first. The original Hellblade was not under the Microsoft umbrella. So this Senua Saga is the first time that Hellblade has been under the Microsoft umbrella. Mm-hmm. The first game came out in 2017, which was Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice. Mm-hmm. These games are very similar in a lot of ways. They have a big emphasis on visual fidelity, motion capture, audio, and boy, oh boy, does this game deliver in that front. Yeah. So, Elle, I want to begin with you as someone who never played the first game, right? You didn't play the first game. You just jumped right into Senua Saga Hellblade 2.
Yes.
What are your thoughts without having played the first game? Do you feel like the game, the opening cinematic stuff explained the first game well enough for you so you could go with Senua on her journey in this game?
So I'll say this, what's interesting about that is that, you start the game, of course, for those who haven't played it, or maybe that they have. For those who haven't, they give you kind of like a brief synopsis of what happened in the first game through kind of like installations of like something carved into wood or like stone or something like that to catch you up or whatever. I'm going to be honest. I did not understand any of it. I just knew of the only thing that to me that stuck out that really mattered. Also, to give everybody who's listening or watching, who's watching, there will be spoilers in this, just to let you know, because if you haven't played the first one like myself, of course, they have to tell you what happened in the first one. The only thing to me that stuck out was that you're with Senua here. She's sacrificed so much. She has this curse upon her. And she had the love of her life in the first game, which ultimately he passed. And now she's on this journey, the demon that talks to her.
She lost the love of her life before the first game started. He's ahead on your belt. Like how in God of War you have what's his name?
I forgot his name.
But this one she like is carrying his head around.
Interesting. Okay. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
But it just gives you that breakdown. I think even though that intro to kind of catch you up, I really didn't get most of it. I think it did an okay job to kind of get you in the state of mind that Senua is in at the beginning of this game, when she's on that ship. And so I think it was okay. It probably could have been done a little bit better just because trying to visually tell the synopsis or the summarization of the first game through these little carvings and stuff can only do so much for someone. I say that saying like, I don't know if flashbacks to game clips in the first one would have helped better or something, but I think it did an okay job. It wasn't its strongest form to like kind of catch you up. Now granted, even though that went through, as soon as you get into the game, I'm not gonna lie to you, a lot of that just kind of went out the window for me. I was just like, okay, there's this girl who's crazy. She hears these voices in her head, and there's this demonic voice that appears.
We can't just say she's crazy, okay? Calm down.
Yeah, you're right.
She has a psychosis.
Yes.
And she suffers from psychosis, so that's a very serious mental illness. Dismiss it of just being crazy is a disservice.
Yeah, exactly.
They make that a big thing. Like there's a whole featurette too in the extras. I don't know if you went and explored the extra tab in the settings.
No.
On the main menu, there's an extra tab. There's like a whole vignette explaining like how they like the research they did for Senua and stuff like that. So
okay,
it is important to know that.
Yes, but I'll say that the intro, I think to kind of like summarize it did the best that it could to get you ready for the game. I will say though that after playing this game, it did make me want to go back and play the first one, which I do plan on doing. Just kind of go through that experience. And so I think the intro, though, I think it was okay.
Okay. Yeah, I was just curious. I kind of just skipped over because I was like, I don't need to listen to this.
Yeah, I get that.
I've played the first game 3 times, I want to say.
Oh, wow. Okay.
First time when it came out. Second time when they originally announced Senua's Saga. Because I was like, oh, that game's Senua Saga is going to come out soon. It didn't come out for 4 years. So I was like, I'll play it again. And I was like, oh, I got to wait forever. And then I played it before actual release of Senua's Senua Saga. So, yeah, it's an interesting game. Both of these games are fascinating to me, just in terms of what they're trying to do with the psychosis, with the voices talking to you. So the voices are supposed to be the Furies, by the way, if you didn't catch that at all, if you didn't understand that at all. The voices that are talking to you throughout the game are the Furies. They all have their own names, and I can't remember what they're called. They say them randomly throughout. But yeah. Before we go any farther, I want to ask you, what are your top level thoughts? And I'm asking you first because you haven't played the first one. I'm I'm in a weird place with this game, and so I want to hear your thoughts first.
So first, I'll say, this game, I thoroughly enjoyed it playing it. Now I'll do this kind of like I did in the last episode for the last game that we reviewed, but I'll give the good. Sound design, amazing, with how they explore the psychosis and just explore it game wise. It's really interesting. The way that they explore it was just, I'd say this is one of the games that's come out that I feel like you probably get a better experience playing it with headphones on versus like if you're playing it through a TV speaker, or if you have monitors like I do. I chose to play this with my headphones on just to get the full effect. And it's always interesting just to see how they played with the sound design in the game. So off the top, that's amazing. Another thing, this game feels like you're almost basically just watching a movie just because of how great it looks. It's just, it has certain beats to it, to the story, that I think at moments are good. To give a little bit, for me, in my opinion, what I think could have been stronger, this game doesn't offer a lot in the combat sense, in a way, which when I think about that, I don't know if this game is meant to do that, if it's more so just meant to kind of explore the psychosis of Senua and you just kind of go through the journey. But really all you're doing is this game is you're just following this path, and that the path is literally like you can see where it is and follow it. Like when they're telling stories of the giants, of what their real names are, it's literally like you got to go this way. There is no other exploration. It's just a straight path to get to the end of the game. The combat, though, I will say, even though it is repetitive a lot, I did enjoy it in a way where you're not really doing too much except for just swinging a sword, defending, and then occasionally you'll get to a point where you get this. There's probably a name for it, but just this mode where you're kind of like stopping your enemies, slowing down in time to where you can just kind of get this melee going. And I did enjoy it. But the reason why I think that I had a good time with it was because, which this is another knock on it that I've seen other people say, as well as I think for myself, is that the game of how short it is. Had it been 8-10 hours, maybe I would have gotten more tired of the combat, but because of the length, I think I enjoyed it for what they did for it. And then I'll say another thing, because I don't want to go too far, because I know we're going to go in depth. The last thing I'll say is that the way the beats of the story at some point kind of feel a little rushed to me. It doesn't feel like it kind of really builds up to the giants, or like just the kind of like building up the stakes which Senua has to go through. And I feel like they could have been a little bit stronger, because I think some of the big fights are great when it's not even really a fight. It's kind of like I don't know what you would call it, like a releasing of these the real person within the giant, It's not really a fight. It's kind of like a mental thing, going back to the psychosis thing. But I feel like the story beats could have been done better to kind of just build that up and build that importance a little bit better for the storyline. But outside of that, I think I enjoyed it pretty well, I think. But I also know that I didn't play the first one, so I have nothing to compare it to. But I think for what Hellblade 2 is, I actually had a really good time, even though it does have its weak points.
All right. Nice. For me, the visuals, the audio, the motion capture, all of that is incredible. The first game, it was really good in the first game. I think they really stepped it up with this game. Like, just the visual and the audio is just so damn good. Everything else, though, the story, the gameplay, which is combat and puzzles, all of that is either on par with what the first game was, or honestly a little bit less. I feel like the puzzles aren't as engaging as the first game. I think the combat is pretty much even. And I guess having played the games back to back, I was just tired of the combat. I don't like the combat at all. Luckily, I did do this about a quarter to a halfway through the game. I was like, I'm tired of this. And I had initially stopped playing, and I was like, you know what? I'm just going to stop playing for a little bit because I was dragging my feet with this. I told you that because I was getting sick of the combat. I was getting sick of the long walks and then just having to fight off these people. And I was just like, you know what? Surely there's something I'm doing wrong here. In the settings, in the accessibility, you can switch it to where the combat automatically resolves for you.
That's so funny.
You just watch. And I turned that on, and I got so much more enjoyment out of just watching Senua fight than me just constantly having to fight for her. Because I just don't like the combat. That was my biggest hang up with the first game, was that I hated the combat. I don't like it at all. Maybe playing these games close together like that did me a disservice, because I was just so burnt out on that combat loop,
Yeah.
So I was just like, whatever. The first game is a little bit trickier because it's not like a one-on-one fight. They can actually, in the first game, they actually can surround you and all attack you at once and stuff. And this one, for some reason, they made it to where it's only one-on-one, but it made that more cinematic,
Yeah.
So on one hand, I kind of like the more cinematic elements of it. On the other hand, I'm just like, it feels weird that even though there's 7 people just watching you, just watching, you fight one person at a time. I feel like logically, swarm her, take her down. But yeah, it's something though. But I think the gameplay though, just the puzzles just aren't as engaging as the first game. A lot of times the puzzles in Senua's Saga kind of just artificially finish themselves. When they say you gotta focus, it snaps you in Senua Saga. And Sacrifice, the first game, it didn't snap you as easily. It did snap you, but you had to actually look around a little bit more than I feel in Senua Saga, where in Senua Saga, a lot of the times, a lot of the puzzles were just I would focus on something and then I would just snap to it and be like, oh, good job. And it's the hell, I did nothing. I felt like I wasn't doing anything with these puzzles, and I was just I feel like the game is automatically solving it. Even the little hidden tree thing and the totem pole things, those were so easy to find and wasn't hard at all. And so the gameplay side, I just was so disconnected and so uninterested in throughout the journey. Story wise, I agree with you. I feel like some things were rushed. I don't really feel like there was a lot of stakes. I think this game has an amazing start and an amazing finish.
Yeah.
I think the in-between is not great. And I do like the set pieces with the giants, with the first giant where you have to run and cut the chains. And then the second one, you have to rush through the ocean while the waves are hitting you. I liked all of that. I thought those set pieces were cool. But like you said, there wasn't really a lot of stakes other than defeating them. And I understand the metaphor of what these giants are. They're the demons that are affecting these people and stuff. They're not they're the metaphorical demons. that are haunting these people, and it's like their own issues that Senua's trying to release them from. So like the first one is reuniting a mother with her child type deal. Both of them are dead, right?
Yeah, they're both dead. Yeah,
and so like just bringing the baby to the dead mother, the dead baby to the dead mother and stuff. And then the second one is avenging what's her name's father, who was betrayed. Who was betrayed. By someone he trusted or whatever. And I can't remember her name. I can't remember anybody's name, so I'm going to be honest. If it's not Senua, I don't know who it is. So
I forgot. They have. I'll say they have very hard names to pronounce.
It's Norse. They have very hard Norse like names to say that I can't pronounce, and I'm sorry for being ignorant on that part. But like, I just didn't feel connected to a lot of this, and at times, even like with the characters that we meet along the way. The first guy you meet, he's the slaver trying to bring you over. Let's dive into the actual plot real quick. So the game starts. You're Senua. You're on a slaver ship. You're with Thor something or another. I can't remember. Thor something like that. And he's got slaves that he's bringing back to his land to sacrifice to appease the giants that are roaming their lands. Storm hits. Everybody falls into the ocean. Blah, 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 blue. Senua gets to the beach. She survives, and she's walking around the beach like, "Oh my god, everybody's dying around me." Blah, blah, blah. And then she finds Thorster. She beats him in a fight. Right? You fight him at some point, and then you take him prisoner and you drag him along. The entire time he's like, "I'm gonna kill you. I'm gonna kill you." And then you tie him outside of a village. You go in the village. You meet the old man. The older gentleman, I don't know.
Fargrimmer?
Yeah, him. Yeah. And he's being sacrificed, right? He's like tied up about to be sacrificed when you rescue him. And then he's like, "Oh, we need to defeat the giants. Help us defeat the giants, and then we can defeat the Thor's whatever, his father."
His father, yeah.
Yeah. And so Senua was like, "Okay, let's do it." So she helps beat these giants. So there's this giant in particular is like causing earthquakes, or that's the lore behind it. That's what everybody's scared of. And so she has to like learn the name of the giants. And so she has to go through like a whole cave system that the hidden ones have manipulated or done something to. But the you go through these little caves and you learn the giant's name and you learn that, she had a baby. We got to bring this baby back to the mother. And so she brings the baby back to the mother. And then you go into this weird, like, psychedelic realm place where you have to cut the chains of the giant. And as you cut the chains, you can see her going crazy. And it's like, these are cool visuals.
Yeah.
But plot wise, I'm like, why do I actually care about this?
Exactly.
And so you cut all the chains, she gets released, and then you come back to reality, and it's just like, oh, you've just put the dead baby with the corpse of the mother or something.
Exactly.
And then what's his name is like, oh, you defeated the giant.
Exactly.
It's like, cool. I'm not really sure how he's connected to it. Was the woman and the child his? Like, was the woman his wife and the child his? Or I didn't really understand that.
No, because so the from what I remember is that Fargrimmer was telling the story. There's a story of I think the people that you fight in the caves are druids or something like that.
Yeah.
And basically, the woman was a part of a village, and from what I remember, they were going to kill her or sacrifice them for something, and she begged someone to save her child or give her the power to save her child. Yeah,
but that
and
didn't
then she became the giant. It didn't happen. She died, and then that she was guilt stricken with like, oh no, like my baby. Where's like my baby? And basically, she manifested and became that giant that just terrorized the land.
Yeah.
After
that, because he witnessed it, Thorstein, blah blah blah. He's like, oh my god, I believe you. I think you can defeat the giants. So he's on Team Senua now.
Yeah,
he spent the first couple. They like,
he flipped.
Yeah, he's like, I want to kill you. Then he's like, oh wait, she can defeat the giants. I'm on Team Senua. Whoa! He's like, cool, great. Now we have an old dude and a young dude with us, and you guys go meet. Her name's like Astrid something.
Yeah, it's Aster.
Yeah. And
Astra,
you meet her because the old guy takes you to her village.
Yep.
She jumps you and almost wants to kill the young guy.
Yeah.
But then you're like, no, stop. He's with us. He's good now. He doesn't want to sacrifice any more people. and so she's like, okay, I don't believe you, but whatever. You can defeat the giants. Well, here, let me show you our giant problem.
Yeah.
And so that whole giant has to do with her past. Her father was betrayed by somebody.
Yep.
Somebody that they trusted.
Yep.
And so she wants to get revenge and stuff. And Senua learns the name of that giant, which is I can't remember.
What's his name? It's a very hard name to pronounce.
They're all hard.
With an S. Yeah.
Yeah. They're all hard. But she learns the name, and when she learns the name, she's able to defeat him and and absolve him in a way, and he turns to stone just like the first giant turned to stone. And then Aster is also like, oh, Senua can do it. I'm on team Senua now. Let's go. It's like, cool. And then you guys go back to where the whole reason Senua came to this land was to stop the sacrifices from happening, because the sacrifices, because her village was raided and was taken by slaves, and so that's the whole reason she came here, was to stop it. And so Thurgestor is like, I'll take you to my father. We will stop it.
Yeah.
We'll convince him to stop it. And so they go, and this is where I'm like, okay, I feel like we're going on this too long now. This feels a little too long, because now I am not interested. That we get to this forest area. The forest area is kind of whatever. There's there's a weird arbitrary choice that doesn't fucking matter at all.
It doesn't matter at all.
I get it. It's all in her head, but you have to choose between Fargamir or Astria or whatever.
Astria, yeah.
And it's like, you pick one. Who are you gonna save? And so I went with the girl because I was like, she's cooler. She was more badass.
Yeah.
She seemed more useful. So I went with her. And then 2 seconds later, it was like, oh, there he is. Oh, guys, I was lost in the forest. It's like, what was the point of this choice? There was no point. I get it. It's all in her head, but whatever. Then you meet up with Thor. Oh, by the way, when they get in the forest, they all get separated because they're all on shrooms. They're all. That's what I'm just gonna say. They're all on shrooms.
It felt like. Yeah,
they're all on shrooms. They all got separated. That's my canon brain space there. Because 1 second they're with you, and then you do something, and then they go, everyone's gone. You look around, and you're like, oh shit, I gotta find them and save them. Anyways, you run into Thurgestor, and apparently he's had a vision of a choice he has to make, and what could that choice be? I called it, by the way. I was like, oh, they're gonna try to sacrifice Senua, and then he's gonna save her. I called it. So spoilers for everybody. We get to their father. The father is, of course, a piece of shit. Turns out that he's the actual giant. He's using fear to dominate over everybody, so he's the tyrant. And so Senua realizes that he's just using his power and influence to cause these people to sacrifice other people so he can keep control, with this idea that there's a giant out there that's tormenting the village, when it's actually the tyrant. The giant is him. He kills his son, Thurgestor, and Thurgestor is like, please kill my father. You were right. He's a piece of shit. Basically, that's what I got out of that cutscene. And then Senua was like, "I'll kill him." And she beats the shit out of him. And then right before she delivers the blow, she gets all in her head. And then there's this long cutscene of what choice should I make? What should I do?
Yeah.
Then there's this beautiful visual of all the hands coming out and grabbing her and stuff. And then the game ends.
It ends very open ended.
Yeah,
but I think it kind of leans a certain way. Yeah, what was her choice? Yeah,
I think the whole idea, through that whole cutscene, it's you are your father's daughter, and the whole theme of this game, with Thorgster and Senua, is trying to break free of their father's influence.
That. Yeah,
and so I think the choice was to let him not kill him.
Exactly.
That's the impression, because her father was like, "Oh yeah, you're gonna kill that motherfucker.
Kill
him. You're just like me." And
exactly.
Then there's that voice that, "Oh, you're your mother's daughter. Your mother was the light. Your father was the darkness." Yeah. And that's the other theme throughout the game. You have this figure following you around that goes, "Ha ha. you're doing exactly what I want you to do, or whatever. You can't escape the darkness. And so, yeah, it's I enjoy the story for the most part. It's just that middle bits where we get to these giants.
Yeah.
There just feels like a disconnect in a lot of ways, especially the second one, which is more for the revenge. I guess it's not even revenge. It's just like bringing peace to this person that betrayed somebody. I just feel like those two things needed a little bit more story-wise to really connect with me.
Yeah.
Because like I just felt like, oh, okay, I'm just doing this because I'm being told to do it.
Yeah.
Like and the reason I say the opening and the ending is powerful is because you spend the entire game with Thorgester, and I do like at the end with his choice and like it goes back to the acting with this too. The acting is amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Like
amazing.
It's top notch. And like you could see like the when he initially brings Senua to his father, he's like, oh fuck, I fucked up. Shit. Yeah. But you also see the hesitation because it's like that's his father.
Exactly.
But he knows what Senua can do. And so he's torn, and then when he makes the choice, you can see that he's like, yep, I'm all Team Senua. I'm going to make this happen. Yep. And then when he gets killed, you see that pain in him and stuff. And it's like, I could have been like my father, and I'm glad I'm not. Exactly. When he says that, it's like, I think that through line story is what's powerful. It's just, I wish the other two giants had the same kind of level in the story. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, definitely. Yeah. 'Cause it does feel a little disjointed. Trying to connect those. And it's funny that you had mentioned that forest walk through because I completely forgot about that. But I remember playing it and being like, "Why are we here? What is the point of all this?" Because when there was no point, because when it came to the choice, I was like, Fargrimmer, he's wise, he's strong, he doesn't need my help. I'm gonna help the girl who's scared. I'm gonna go help her, and so I chose the same thing. And it's funny because in that little walkthrough when they come out of the fog, Fargrimmer looks like he has this dialogue where he's like, I don't know what I just saw or whatever. I'm like, oh, is something gonna happen to Fargrimmer? Nothing happened.
No, nothing happened. Nothing happened.
And it just like I was just like, oh, so this has placed into nothing. Okay. I mean, it was. I just feel like it could have been better used. I don't know, maybe more time with like building up to the giants or just trying to connect them a little bit more to the end. And
there was just some sort of disconnect for me story wise, where I was just like, eh. And yeah, man, I was hoping the old guy, whatever his name is, was gonna like turn out to be like, oh, the bad guy or something. I was hoping something was gonna happen with him because like, yeah, like honestly, Fargrimir and Astria or whatever, like they just don't feel like they do too much except follow you around.
Yeah.
So
that's it. They don't really I like to think of it as like they don't carry a lot of weight to the story at all. You could basically replace them with someone else and it would still be the same. Like their importance unfortunately isn't that strong. I'd say this even about the story as well. When you get to the point where you're making it to Thorgister's like father and you meet him and you can tell he's not a good guy. A part of me, even though like you have a reveal that he's a giant, a part of me was like, this could have been done better. Like it just could have been stronger because it just kind of, it almost, the way the game tries to present it, it's like, whoa, what a twist. He's the giant. And I'm like, I don't even know this guy. Like, you didn't build like this relationship to where I have to, I thought that maybe he's a good guy, but actually he's the bad guy, but it just kind of threw it at you and like, here, he's the giant, he's the tyrant. And I'm like, what? And I was like, okay, I guess. Like, I was like, all right.
I mean, like I called it like beforehand. I was like, oh yeah, his father's going to be the giant type thing. Like once they started introducing this giant stuff and like we got to go confront his father. I was like, oh yeah, he's going to be the giant. Like I almost feel like it's so weird to critique us like the story side of this because like again, I like the beginning, I like the end. Yes. I feel like to really keep that connection home was like to introduce the father at the beginning of the game and maybe him be like, oh, Senua, you say you can defeat the giants? Let's see if you can. And then she goes on this journey or something and all of that. But like, and then even though despite all the proof, he's still like, no. Like, I I think that like it kind of ruins the thing because then by that point you're like, oh, okay, yeah, he's the giant because he's using fear to keep control. But like even then, I feel like that would have been a stronger way to have the urgency of these giants. And
exactly.
I feel like we could have spent more time with just developing those stories too.
Yeah,
because we spend a lot of time just walking around. We spend a little too much. We spend a little too much time talking around. And listen,
a lot of time.
I can only take so much of it. Like, I don't know about you, but like some of the voice stuff, the whispers and stuff, one thing that I noticed after a while was like, man, they're just saying the same shit over and over again, aren't they? They're just saying the same stuff. Like, I get it. Like, you gotta keep putting it in there. But like, especially in the fights, even though like I was just letting the fights automatically play towards the end, I noticed like a lot of the dialogue was the same. It was just like, oh, they see your weakness. Oh, you can dodge this. I'm like, okay. You're just saying the same shit over and over again. So yeah. So game's such an interesting place for me because like I do think the story of the first game is a lot stronger than this one. The first game is a lot more personal, which I appreciate because the first one is more about Senua dealing with her own inner demons. It's dealing with the loss of her lover, dealing with the torment of her father in a lot of ways, and like just overcoming this darkness that's within her. Whereas this one kind of, there is a personal element to it, but I feel like the personal elements are getting sidetracked in favor of these giants, if that makes sense. Yeah. Because the personal elements, again, beginning and end, I think is strong because we have that you are your father's daughter, I want to break free of my father type thing, and like that's present, but that's really only present at the beginning, at the end, and then random points in the middle where you see his vestige in the like shadowy vestige haunting her and stuff. Like, but that feels like what this game is about to me. And these giants are just not really the two middle giants aren't just really doing much for that, if that makes sense. So
no, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. What was I gonna say that? Yeah, I think, you know, to kind of chime on earlier of what we said of like this game is beautiful, the acting is amazing. There's not really a character that I just outright like, oh, this could have been done better. Everyone does great, but some of the gameplay, like you said, I could see why, you know, people would be like the battle is just the fighting mechanics are just whatever. And then also too, like the puzzles, to be honest, they're not that hard. They're not hard at all. And like it's cool at certain moments, but after a while you're just like, oh, here's another little puzzle. I gotta find this little stone here and put it over here. And so I did think overall there was a little bit of room that I think it could have been done better in the story to connect everything, just make that through line stronger of like, oh, this is about Senua breaking out from the just like the trauma and just being her own person, making her own decisions. And so but with that said, I know I did enjoy the game, but also I feel like maybe I might have a different rating of the game if I had played the first one, but I do plan to go back. Maybe, who knows, down the road I'll be like, one is way better or so on and so forth. But yeah, outside of that, the story could have been better. I do love Senua, the character. Like that's a great character.
Yeah, Senua was great.
I think the story just could have had like the beats done a little bit stronger. Because like you said, I agree with you where the beginning is strong. It's very strong how it starts. And it ends amazingly. Just the ending is so cool with just the visualization of her becoming her own person. And it's just that middle part. It's just the middle.
Yeah, the middle part just falters a lot, and it became a drag for me at times because I honestly was dragging my feet because I was just like, ugh.
Yeah,
I'm not enjoying the gameplay. So.
Yeah, I will say too. In this game, I did find all the, I forgot what they're called, like lore stongers, whatever, the poles. And I did find all the hidden faces.
The trees.
But a part of me feels like, to be honest, even though I did find them all, I don't see why it was important to find them. Because all they were doing just recounting stories of.
They were telling. It was like mythology stuff.
Mythology stuff. Yeah. Outside of that, yeah, it was alright.
Yeah, but they're like loosely tied to the giants and stuff like that. But it's like honestly was not very interesting in my opinion. But I also I kept like walking away from them. Like I would start playing them and then I would just walk away and they'd be like, oh
And
shit, I didn't listen. I really don't want to go back and listen. So I just kept going.
Yeah.
So
I get that. I wish it didn't do that, because I did that a couple times where I'm like, oh, I have to stay and listen to this thing, because there would be times where it just starts playing and there's the narrator's voice talking about, the story. You start to walk away and it slowly distances itself until it stops. I was like, oh, we have to stay here? But
yeah, you have to stay there to listen. And I would just walk away and be like, well, I missed it. Oh, well, I'm not going back to listen.
Yeah, exactly.
Especially towards the end when I was just like, okay, I'm spending too much time walking. I don't think I found them all. I think I missed like 2 places on the pole and then like 1 place of the faces. And I'm honestly never going to go back and find them. So
yeah,
I just have no interest.
Yeah, I think outside of just the story, the only thing that happens if you're into like completion is when you unlock either the lore stongers or the hidden faces. All it does is just gives you the option to use a different narrator besides the original one. That's all it does.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
It's I'm not interested. So with all that said and done, El, where are you at with this game now? How do you feel about it? Would you recommend this game?
So for me, going off what I said earlier, I did enjoy this game regardless of its like beats that could have been stronger throughout the story. I think the characters and the acting itself is enough to warrant to recommend someone to play it. Just because I think they did a great job doing that. Because look, I feel like if the acting was not on par and not good, this game would be horrible. Just because the acting is kind of what kept me going, and I'm like, man, I love the character Senua, and I'm like, I love the journey that she's on, and so I think for me, I would recommend it to others. I had a good time with it. It had its faults, but I think overall I had a good time.
Nice. I'm gonna be honest, I struggle to recommend it. I think if you want an experience, this is an amazing experience. If you want a game that is very cinematic and has a unique experience to it, I would recommend this game. If you want a game with a lot of gameplay, don't play this game at all.
Yeah, don't play this.
Like this is not going to give you that. In my opinion, it's not going to give you that. It's not going to give you fulfilling gameplay. It's not going to give you fulfilling puzzles. And the story could be a lot stronger. So I don't even think that would be worth it if you just want a story. I don't necessarily think this is strong, but if you want an experience, if you liked Senua's Sacrifice, I would say play it. But that's but just know that I don't think the gameplay is strong. I don't think you'll get a lot out of it on that side of things. So just go into that with that knowledge. So there's where I'm at with it. And like always, we do have to rank these. We do rank these again, the games that we've all played. So I'm going to give a breakdown of my list, then I'll give a breakdown of El's list, and then we will do a ranking on each of our individual lists. So at number 1, I have RoboQuest. Number 2, I have Starfield. Number 3 is Rollerdrome. Number 4 is Sea of Stars. Number 5 is Cocoon. Number 6 is Gris. Number 7 is Lies of P. And 8 is Arcade Paradise. 9 is Short Hike. And 10 is Amnesia the Bunker, which I'm finally going to get rid of that goddamn game.
Finally.
Overall, L's list. Number 1 is Starfield. Number 2 is Lies of P. 3 is Sea of Stars. Number 4 is Rollerdrome. Number 5 is Cocoon. Number 6 is Gris. Number 7 is RoboQuest. Number 8 is Arcade Paradise. 9 is A Short Hike. And 10 is Amnesia the Bunker. L, where are you going to put Senua Saga?
I looked at this list and I thought that I knew where I was going to put it, but I actually think I'm going to put it a little higher than I thought when I'm comparing it to the rest of these games. This is interesting. This might be blasphemy to you. So with this game, of course, like we always do, I was thinking about the other ones that I played and, if I enjoyed them, whether or not. To be honest, I'll just tell you where I'm putting this. Because when I got to on my list, Gris and Cocoon, and I think about I enjoyed them. I did enjoy them. But for some reason, a part of me, I go to Rollerdrome and I go, why did I put Rollerdrome up there? Why did I guess
it's a good fucking game. Like, what the hell?
It is good, but I don't know what it is. I'm comparing the two. But with all that said,
better.
I'm putting Senua Saga at number 4 above Rollerdrome.
You're a fool. You're a fool.
I knew you were going to say that. You're a fool. But it's because I think the cinematicness and the sound design and the acting are great compared to the other games on my list, besides the ones that it fall below.
Cool. I am putting it at number 6 on my list, right above Gris and below Cocoon. I think Gris is just such a visual appealing game, but I don't really care for anything else with Gris. We talked about it at length in our last review. I think Senua Saga just it does enough to bring it above Gris, and then I'm not a fan of Lies of P. Arcade Paradise wore itself out quickly, a short hike, whatever, and then Amnesia the Bunker, thank God, is gone forever because that game's awful.
No more.
But yeah, so Senua is like right there in the middle for me. Again, like it's basically really only my top two games that actually feel like I enjoyed 100%. So
gotcha.
Which is RoboQuest and Starfield. Everything else on my list, I enjoyed the experiences, but I'm probably never going to play any of those games again. So
gotcha. Makes sense.
Senua Saga, unfortunately, I probably won't play again. Maybe in like 7 years when they release Senua's
Arrival.
Senua's Pony
Decision.
Adventures.
No, Pony Adventure.
She's raising ponies in Iceland. It's great. She's overcome her demons.
Senua's choice.
I'm not going to bother with the overall ranking right now because I'm too lazy to do math. So that's where we're at right now. So to recap our new list, number 1 for me is RoboQuest. Number 2 is Starfield. Number 3 is Rollerdrome. Number 4 is Sea of Thieves. Number 5 is Cocoon. Number 6 is Senua Saga. Number 7 is Gris. 8 is Lies of P. And 9 is Arcade Paradise. 10 is A Short Hike. L's list is Starfield as number 1, Lies of P number 2, Sea of Stars 3, number 4 is Senua Saga, number 5 is Rollerdrome, number 6 is Cocoon, and number 7 is Gris, number 8 is RoboQuest, number 9 is Arcade Paradise, and number 10 is A Short Hike. Our next game that we're going to review, and I'm so excited.
Oh, boy.
I've made a deal with L.
Yeah,
if you didn't watch our last episode, I made a deal with L. I will put Persona wherever he puts it on because if I review it, it would automatically be in my number one.
Number 1.
So I'm going to let L decide my fate with Persona because I love Persona. I'm a Persona fanboy. I love all the Persona games. And so I really just wanted L to play Persona 3 Reloaded because I thought I think he would like it. Maybe I'm wrong. We'll find out. And then for July, L, I changed it, by the way. We're going to do Humanity. We're going to review Humanity in July because that came to Game Pass. And I've been playing it, and I'm enjoying it.
Me too. So. I'm enjoying it a lot, too. It's a really fun game. I'm actually going to play a little bit after. But
so so those are 2 reviews coming up next. Persona will be later this month, and then sometime in July, we will have Humanity. So be on the lookout for that, y'all. L, wind us down, you silly son of a bitch.
Everybody, thanks so much for tuning in to Review Please Video Game Edition, where, of course, we talked about Senua Saga Hellblade 2. Be sure to subscribe to the channel here and hit the bell icon to be notified of future videos. Also, check out our previous reviews of other games that we went through, like from the list that we said. Make sure to follow us on social media at Respawn Please Podcast on Instagram and TikTok. And also check out Respawn Please Podcast, available everywhere you get podcasts. Just look up Respawn Please Podcast. And thanks for tuning in.
Thank you for tuning in, you silly humans. Bye.
Bye.